Hi. So we're going to do a short yoga practice. It's going to be at most 20 minutes. And all you will need is a cushion if you want one. But you don't even need that. You need space that's about a yoga mat space. Okay. So we'll take you through a little bit of awareness, a little bit of opening the body. We'll do maybe one standing pose and then we'll come back down and have a stretch. Okay. So come into your space. I'm sitting on a cushion just because that helps me sit, but as long as you feel that you can sit upright, I don't mean sit upright like this, but just so you're lifted, not kind of slouched down. Okay. Legs can be wherever you want them to be, crossed, you can be kneeling, you can be sitting like this, and that's perfectly fine. Come and have a seat. And then start to come into the room that you're in, which may sound obvious. Sometimes we come into space and our mind's still dashing away to the room it's been before or somewhere else in the house. So come on into this room and start to really bring your focus into this room, into this space. And then bring your focus into the space that you're in. So narrow it down that little bit more. Almost forming a little bubble around yourself. And then we'll gradually bring an awareness into ourselves. So notice that you're sat on the floor, mat, cushion, whatever it happens to be. Feel in contact with the floor somewhere. And then bring your attention to your breath. So noticing your breath. Noticing that you're breathing in and that you're breathing out. And that's all you need to notice. Not trying to change it, not trying to do anything different with it, but just notice that you breathe in and that you're breathing out. Your breath will have its own rhythm this morning, its own pattern. Just follow that natural rhythm as it is at the moment. Which in itself can bring you into you, your space, your awareness. Start practice. It doesn't need to be complicated. Coming into that awareness can do loads with the simplicity of being aware of breathing in and breathing out. And we're going to take the left hand to the side. We're going to lift up with the right, and then we're going to take a little bend over to the right. And then we're going to come up. That was over at the left, wasn't it? And we'll swap it over. And then we'll do it again and see if you can just make your waist that little bit longer as you do it, but your bottom's still quite relaxed on the floor. And then coming up and then doing that on the other side. So your waist gets a little bit longer. You try not to let your shoulders go with it as you lift the waist. And then come back down. Brilliant. We're going to clasp the hands together. We're going to push the hands out. And then let your kind of breastbone soften. So we make a little curl with the spine. And I'm going to breathe in and lift up. And then breathe out. Make that same curl with the spine. Almost just kind of softening your breastbone in towards you. And then breathe in and lift up. You're lifting up where you can. A little bit more than you might otherwise. But not having an outcome that the hands need to be particularly some distance above your head or anything like that. Just that little bit more stretch and lengthening than you might otherwise. We'll go one more time, breathing out. And then breathing in. Brilliant. And then bring the arms down, give your shoulders a little roll. And then let's come to all fours. So come to all fours, really spread your hands out. And bring yourself onto your knees. And if you can, have the fronts of the feet on the mat. If it feels kind of crampy in your feet, you can pop your toes under it. See if you can go here. And then push the mat away, make a curl with your spine. And then lift your chest. So we're going between the two movements, get a bit of movement through your spine. Might breathe out as you curl, breathe in as you go the other way. And we'll do a couple more of these. So really enjoy that movement between the two. Kind of playing with it and saying, oh, working a length in the front of my body here and working a length in the back of my body in the other one. And then come to a place where you're kind of in the middle, not too much of one or the other. Then you're going to take your one hand length forward. So our hands are forward of our shoulders, okay? And then we're going to sink the hips back. So we get a bit of reach through the front of the chest. We're not looking to sit back on our heels. We're still pushing with the arms. And then we're going to bring ourselves forward. So we bring our chest over our hands and the hip bones come forward. So we lengthen the front of the hips, front of the thighs and tummy. And then we push back. And then we come forward. So it's getting a wee bit of mobilization, getting the arms taking a bit of weight, getting them connected, and coming forward. Okay, and then we're going to do one more time. And then we're going to come up to our knees. I'm smiling and giggling because I can hear my husband singing downstairs. Take one foot in front of you. And then we're going to bring that knee over the front hip. So we get a bit of length in the front here. Okay. And then lift your arms up, lengthen through the sides of the waist. Take a nice big stretch up. As if someone's got your fingers and they're just pulling you a little bit taller, but your shoulders are settling down quiet. Okay. We're going to stay there. Then we're going to tuck the back toe under. And we're going to push back, so we get a bit of stretch through that back foot. And then we're going to come forward. So we get a bit of mobilization, a bit kind of movement going on. And really kind of play with it, yeah? So just go to where it's like, oh, that feels quite nice. Particularly when you go back the way. If it feels too much in your foot, then don't go too far, yeah? You're looking to bring your whole body, your hips forward and your hips back. So the movement's from the hips here. One more time, hold it here, and then see if you can just lift the gaze and the breastbone that little bit more. And then bring that down, and we'll swap it over. So you're going to take the right foot, other foot in front, bring the hips forward, yeah? Get a good push into the foot, the floor with that foot, and then lift your arms up, okay? So we get a bit of opening in the front of the hip, maybe a little bit in the tummy, but keeping the length in the sides of the waist. Then we're going to tuck the toes under. And again, we're going to do that, bringing the hips back, so we'll maybe feel a bit of stretch in the foot, and then we take it forward. And there's probably going to be one side that feels a little bit less balanced than the other. So it's definitely this one for me. I want to feel like I want to kind of go off to one side. So do your best to not go with that drifting off, yeah? So you're staying kind of centered as possible, but not trying to make it perfect. It's kind of going, right, where have I got this? Where can I keep my balance and my stability? And then we'll do one more back. And then we're going to take it forward again. We're going to stay here. That sense that you've just been lifted a little bit taller in the torso, the shoulders are relaxed, and then take the gaze slightly up. So it's the gaze of the chest comes up that little bit more. Taking a breath, and then bringing your arms back down. We're going to bring that foot to the further into the floor, and then we're going to step the other one in, but keep your head towards the floor. Okay, so we're going to come into a forward fold. Now bend the knees as much as they need to be. Okay, so you might be way down here. It doesn't matter. I'm quite flexible at the back of my legs, so don't try and be where I am. Just kind of find out I've got my feet flat on the floor, can bend over, and it feels okay. It doesn't feel too much in the back of the legs. We'll let your head drop. Maybe have a little nudge yes, nudge no. Let it just kind of Give to gravity a little bit. And then you can, if your hands are on the floor, you can keep them there. You might place them on your ankles, or you might want to hold opposite hand to opposite elbow. And then see if you can get a sense of where your sitting bones are. So if you were sitting on a seat, where you would be sitting on. Keeping the feet on the floor, can you lift the sitting bones a little bit more? It might tip you forward a little bit, and then we're going to drop them. So you're keeping the heels on the floor. There's maybe a slight shift of weight more into the balls of your feet. But we're working with where the backs of the legs can lengthen, as opposed to trying to make them straight. Kind of playing with the movement. And we're going to do one more time. Then let the arms drop, and then take your time rolling up through your spine and come to a standing position. Okay, let's stand here and stand with your feet about hip width apart with your arms lengthening down. Okay, so we come into mountain pose. We're going to keep our feet that wee bit apart as we do this. And make yourself as tall as you can, almost from the inside. So like you just kind of lengthened up. If you remember you had letters threes, you're a stick of rock, that kind of central bit is just pulled up, and then the rest of you is dropped down towards the floor. So there's a drawing down of the arms. So take what lands. If I say something and you're trying to analyze, work out what I do, let it go. If it's meant for you, it'll land. Okay, and the gaze is forward. And open the collarbones. So just subtly, we're not trying to do a kind of performance, just have that sense of there's a bit of expansion through the collarbones and through the chest. Then you're going to take your feet wide. Okay, so I take them quite wide, and then you're going to turn the right foot towards the short ends of the mat. Okay, and then you're going to bring the other heel slightly out and bring the toes in. So this is pointing at about 11 o'clock, and this one's pointing to 9 o'clock. And you might find your hips turn. So can you bring them back just a little bit? Okay, so they don't need to come square onto me if your knee or your ankle just won't come with you or doesn't like it. Then we're going to bend that front knee. Okay, press into that foot, press into that foot. So if you're pushing the floor away, but also keeping steady at the same time, your arms are going to lengthen out, and we're going to make ourselves nice and wide across the chest. You might get a sense that the back of the arms just slightly draw back, and then you might feel a bit of connection just at the top of the back there. Take a gaze down the right arm, have a subtle energetic pull back of the left, and we're in warrior pose. Okay, so we're going to stay here for just a few breaths. Just notice your breath. Come back again to that awareness of the breath. And as you breathe, maybe become aware of where there's tension in the pose, as you're trying to cling onto the pose. Can you let it go? Sometimes the answer is, yeah, and I don't know why I was even holding on to it. Sometimes the answer is no. Just notice it, and that's okay. The tension needs to be there for a reason at the moment. We're going to stay for another couple of breaths. And then turning the feet to kind of 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And then we're going to turn the left one to 9 and the other, or maybe it's 3 on this side, and the other one, 11. Kind of a workout when I'm doing online, which one's which, what you're watching. So either way, that's pointing that way. And again, where your hip bones are, they might just turn round a little bit. You might still have a bit of a twist, but just see where you can go, where your hips will let you turn with it. Take the arms out, and again, that sense of, oh, my collarbones just got a little bit wider there. The waist got a little bit longer, and then we're going to bend that left knee. Okay, and it might be a temptation to kind of bring yourself over that left knee. Can you find the back foot and the front foot, the back arm and the front arm, look down the left arm, this is the front arm. We come into warrior 2 on this side. Again, take a little notice of the tension. Can you let it go? Let the bones hold you in this pose. So the muscles that are meant to work here will work, and any that don't need to get involved or are subtly involved can possibly just release a little bit of tension. And then we're going to take a couple more breaths here. And then again, bringing the feet back round, hands to your hips, walk the feet in. Stand for a moment, back in the centre, nice and centred, collarbones open, the chest soft, shoulders soft. And then come and take a wee seat. So come and sit with your legs wide. You can sit on a cushion if you want, and if you're challenged to stay upright with your legs straight, give them just a little bend there, okay? And then we're going to take the right one and we're going to pop it in towards another thigh. And it might be further down for you. It doesn't matter where it goes as long as you can sit here and there's a bend in this knee. That's your starting place, okay? Then we're going to turn the chest to look down the right leg. And you might take a little fold here, keeping both sides of the waist long. So I'm a firm believer that if we start with, first time we do yoga, if we start with something that looks kind of like what the teacher's doing, and it doesn't feel like we're in pain, sharp pain, or there's too much tension in it, then we'll find our way with yoga. Little bits each class will drip feed into the next. So letting yourself fall forward. You might feel a bit of reaching out of the knee here. And we'll take a couple more breaths. And then come up from there. It's just a really short practice today, so we're not going to stay for too much longer. Maybe in a longer practice, I might stay for a few more breaths. So lifting up again, turning to have a look down that right leg, and then folding over that right leg, and folding just enough that you can keep your bottom nice and firm on the floor. You can keep your waist long, aiming to go from the waist rather than from the head dropping. So you're better to sit upright and have length than to fold and collapse inwards. Let's take a few breaths here. And just more than anything, have an awareness of what you notice. Anything that feels tense, if you realise you're gripping or holding the jaw, really trying to strain, can you simply let that go? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And accepting what that answer is. Coming up from there, and then we're just going to take a little bit of relaxation just to finish. So come and lie down on your back, and you can either have your knees bent or you might want to lengthen your legs out. Just come into a place where you can be really comfy. Settling into whatever position you've got on the floor there. And then once again, we're going to bring our attention back to the breath. Noticing the in-breath, noticing the out-breath. And if we want to quieten everything down, calm, find more relaxation, the out part of our breathing is where we might find that. Breathing out a little bit longer, a little bit more, and letting the in-breath happen. Taking a bit of focus on the out-breath. Maybe noticing as you breathe out, you feel a little bit more rested into the ground. A sense that your bones become a little bit heavier, supported by the floor. And it doesn't need to be long that you practice and that you move. Come into some awareness, coming back into your body. And then one more breath here. And gently bring your awareness away from the breath to the rest of your body. Noticing your body connected to the floor where you've got contact. And then slowly, gently, but surely you're going to roll to one side. And we're going to come back to a seated position again that's comfortable for you, whatever one that is. Okay. And then start to notice the room that you're in. Notice the rest of the room. We take a little bit of a look around it. And starting to expand your awareness out again. Noticing more of what's around you. You're part of that in this whole space. And we'll take a few wee rolls of the shoulders. And then bringing our hands to heart center. Which the symbol that the time that you spent here practicing and moving is coming to an end. But in reality, we take it out with us in many different ways. But also this gives you time to thank yourself for coming to do some yoga, to have a go, to be aware, and to notice what you notice. It allows me to thank you, and we finish with a word that means the light in me acknowledges the light in you. Namaste. So I hope you enjoyed that. And I'll catch up with you when I see you on email, social media, or on here. Take care.